From rejection to redemption, a journey of resilience and success. Welcome to this new video on the Reddit Storylane. There are moments in life when you realize that the people who should know you best are actually the ones who understand you the least. Growing up in a family where expectations were sky high and comparisons were endless was a trial, but what came after changed my life in an irrevocable way. This is my story, that of a young man considered a failure, rejected by his own family, who ended up building a multi-million-dollar empire, and how a low blow from my brother unintentionally revealed my success. It all starts in a small village where everyone knows each other. A community as tight-knit as it is invasive. This is where I grew up, surrounded by two siblings. My older brother, whom I'll call the Golden Son, and my little sister, the family princess. I was the middle child, often forgotten or compared to my more accomplished siblings. From a young age, I understood that, no matter how hard I tried, I would never live up to their expectations. This story is not just about my struggles and resilience. It's an exploration of what it means to find your own way in the shadow of stifling expectations. It's also the story of a revelation, a family confrontation, and the discovery of hidden truths. So, sit back, because this story goes beyond mere family conflicts. It speaks of transformation and the power to rewrite your own destiny. My childhood may seem idyllic from the outside. A small, peaceful village, loving parents, at least on the surface. But for me, it was a constant struggle to find my place in a family where roles were rigidly defined. My father, a quiet, hard-working man, was the silent authority figure. He embodied traditional values, discipline, hard work, and a complete absence of emotional expression. My mother, on the other hand, was his perfect opposite, warm but unyielding in her attachment to the ideals she learned growing up in a religious family. In this dynamic, my older brother shone as a model of perfection. He was everything my parents hoped for: athletic, charismatic, and always able to stand out. I, on the other hand, was the clumsy kid, the one who cried too often at school, the one who couldn't throw a ball properly. I had asthma, which kept me from many activities, and my sensitivity was often seen as a weakness. Comparisons were constant. "Look at your brother," they'd say. "Why can't you be like him?" These remarks left a lasting mark on my self-confidence. I felt like a stranger in my own home, unable to meet my family's expectations. As a teenager, things didn't get better. School was a constant source of stress. I wasn't popular, nor particularly gifted academically. With a 2.5 GPA at the end of high school, I knew my options were limited. But I had a passion: video games and comic books. These worlds were my refuge, spaces where I could be myself without fear of judgment. After saving some money, I enrolled in university, hoping to find a new direction. But after 2 years, I had to drop out. This decision caused a family scandal. My parents were furious, my brother scornful, and my little sister, though more lenient, was too absorbed in her own life to care about mine. But what my family saw as a failure was, for me, an opportunity to rediscover myself. I began working at a video game and comic book store, a job I loved despite its lack of prestige. It was there that I met my future business partner, a fellow enthusiast like me, with whom I co-founded a tech support business that would change our lives. The morning after the report was discovered, I found myself facing a situation more complex than I had imagined. Indignation swept over me. My brother's move wasn't just an attack on my private life, it was a challenge to everything I had built in the shadow of his expectations. It was as if he believed he could destroy me by exposing a truth that didn't match his hasty judgments. I took a moment to calm down. It felt like everything was moving too fast. In a few hours, my life, my reputation, and the vision I had carefully built for my future had been threatened. Yet, deep down, I knew it wasn't the end. My success wasn't measured by what my brother thought of me. He had never understood what it meant to struggle in the shadows, away from the spotlight and the criticism. I didn't need his approval to feel accomplished. However, the situation was delicate. The family was about to face a storm. I needed to speak up, to say what I had done, but also why. I called each of my family members, informing them that I wanted to arrange a meeting to discuss what had just happened. They all seemed surprised, even those who had not been part of the judgments. This time, my brother and I would have to face each other, but in a different way. I had to take the lead and put an end to the farce where I was the ugly duckling in everyone's eyes. The meeting took place in our parents' dining room, a place full of memories and tension. I saw them all there, their eyes questioning, waiting for answers. My brother, for his part, seemed already on the defensive. He had probably imagined that, through this gesture, he would bring me down from my pedestal. I spoke, my voice calm but firm. You all saw this report. You saw what my brother discovered. It wasn't just a smear campaign, it was an act of contempt. But let me explain the truth behind this facade that you refuse to understand. The faces around the table tensed. They weren't used to seeing me so determined, so sure of myself. My brother, however, remained silent. He had a hard time admitting he was wrong. His eyes avoided mine, as if hoping that the words I would say were just a bluff. I may have worked in the shadows, away from the spotlight and your judgments, but everything I did it to build myself. Not to impress you, not to prove anything to you. I became a co-owner of a company. I took risks. I failed. I started over, and today, it's not luck that smiles on me, it's the result of hard work. I paused, my eyes now fixed on my brother. I felt a heavy pressure on him. Perhaps he was finally realizing the depth of what he had done. And now, you come here with your detective to try to destroy all of this, to justify your personal bitterness by airing it in front of everyone. But know this, what you just discovered is not a failure. It's a success. He finally looked up at me, a mixture of anger and regret in his gaze. The other family members stayed silent, witnesses to this confrontation, waiting to see how things would unfold. My brother took a deep breath before responding, his voice weak but full of resentment. I never wanted to destroy you, you know. I just wanted you to understand that you didn't have to hide. That you could trust us, your family. This confession left a bitter taste in my mouth. For years, he had lived in the shadow of his own failures, unable to accept that I could succeed where he had failed. It was far more complicated than he had led me to believe. He hadn't just acted out of malice, there was deep pain behind his gesture. I lowered my eyes for a moment, breathing deeply. Then I gestured to indicate that the discussion was far from over. I understand how you feel, but seeking to bring me down won't give you answers to your own frustrations. We need to learn to accept our differences, to support each other rather than judge. We've never had that chance, and maybe that's what's been holding us back. This statement, though spoken with calm determination, had a shock effect. The family members looked at each other, realizing that behind this confrontation was much more than just a family dispute. There were years of misunderstanding and unspoken words coming to the surface. But it was a step forward, an opening towards something new. The meeting ended in heavy silence, each person absorbing the words exchanged. I knew the road to reconciliation would be long, but I was no longer willing to hide. My truth had been revealed, and now it was up to them to accept it.